So the topic for today's video is something that many golfers struggle with, and we're talking about aim. How many times have you hit a golf shot on the course, it was a fantastic shot, but your aim was off? Well, we're going to cover that, and we're going to show you how you can aim perfectly every time. So welcome back to the Forest of Arden, where we're talking about how you can aim yourself out on the golf course to make sure that you hit better golf shots. Now, just before we get started, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, it is absolutely free, and it just means you'll be notified when I upload a video, which is 3 times each week, and we're covering a variety of topics from short game to driver to course management and various other topics as well. So make sure you click the link in the description box down below, or the one at the end of the video, join my channel and we can help you play some better golf. Aiming. Not easy. Many of you watching this might be thinking that is exactly me. I play golf on numerous amounts of times where I've hit a beautiful golf shot, missed the green to maybe the left or the right, and the playing partners I'm playing with say, well, that's exactly where you were aiming. So the shot was good, it was the aim which is off. Now, the first thing we have to say is that aiming isn't easy. You know, lots of golfers that I see, you know, in a coaching bay kind of talk about aim as if it should be really easy. You know, why can't I just aim at the target? Well, it isn't easy because we're standing to the side of the golf ball. If you were to imagine that you were using a rifle, you're trying to shoot a rifle, it's incredibly difficult to aim that rifle from here. You'd want to be looking straight down the barrel. Well, we can't in golf. You know, so when you're stood behind, much easier to see where your playing partners are aiming. When you're stood to the side, much more difficult to establish where you're aiming. However, there's a few things that we can do. Now, just before we get into that, we are going to use the flag on this particular hole as what we're trying to aim at, but just bear in mind that when you're on the golf course, it might not be the flag. You might be aiming left of the green, right of the green, and especially that's going to be the case if you're a golfer who plays with some curves. So let's say I'm a golfer who generally has a fade or a slice. I'm not going to be aiming at that flag. I'm going to be picking something that's maybe 10, 15 yards left of that. So this video isn't really going to be covering what to aim at. That's a little bit for you to establish on your own. Once you've picked that target, the ideas here are going to be how we actually aim. So the first thing I would do is I would start from behind my golf ball, and as we said, we're going to aim directly at this flag here. And what I'm doing when I'm looking from here is I'm trying to imagine a line on the ground which runs from my ball directly to that flag. And then what I'm trying to do is within probably the first, you know, maybe 5 feet of that line, I'm trying to pick some little marks on the ground which that line kind of goes through. So it's going to go just left of this little divot here, it's going to go just right of that divot there, and then I'm really starting to pick those points that are on my target line. Now we call those intermediate targets because I'm seeing my line going through here and through here, and I've got some intermediate targets. Now, once I've done that, theoretically, I never ever have to look at the target again because I can just align my club face to those intermediate targets. Now, we do want to check that we're aiming correctly. We're going to come to that in a minute. But once I've done that, the first thing I'm going to then do is make sure that I'm aimed at my intermediate target. So again, I'm still visualizing that line on the ground and I'm aiming my club face towards my intermediate targets. Once I've got my club face set, I'm then going to build my stance around that. Now what I'm trying to look for here is 2 parallel lines. The line that I'm seeing on the ground, which is through my intermediate targets, and making sure that matches the line that goes across my toes. Now, when we look at aim, we often see the feet. You know, when you look at your playing partners, you often say your feet were aiming right, your feet were aiming left. It's actually more important where your upper body is aiming. So I can actually have, you know, my feet perfectly in position, but if my upper body is twisted in this fashion, that's going to send me more over towards the right and vice versa over towards the left. So when we're thinking about our body being parallel to that target line, try and make sure that's toes, knees, hips and shoulders. Now I have a tendency to get my shoulders a bit left, so when I play I'm aware of that because it's really important for me that I get my shoulders square to my target. So once we've set the club face, we've built our stance, theoretically we should be aiming towards our target, but we want to check that. Now we've just spoken about parallel lines. What happens when I take my starting position and I look at the target this way? Well, my eyes have now gone pretty much horizontal. Now all I see is I see that target and I see lots of stuff around that target. That doesn't give me a particularly good appreciation of where I was aiming. So one of the looks that you have towards your target, if I just get myself set up again, one of your looks should be a head rotation. Because what that's going to do is it's going to take your eyes, which are also parallel to your target line, and your head rotation is going to take your eyes directly up that line. That's going to give me a much better sense of where my body was aligned. So if I have myself out to the right this way, if I look at the target this way, I don't really see that being as any different to the previous look. But when I actually rotate my head from here, straight away I see kind of right of that bunker. It gives me much better perspective of where I'm aiming, and that's really what we need to do when we're aiming, is be able to really establish where we are aiming, because that's the skill, that's the bit that we find difficult. So those are the things that I want you to try and do next time you play. Number one is pick an intermediate target on the line that you want. Number two is to get the golf club set at that intermediate target. Number three is build your stance around that line, making sure we're parallel. And then number four is to make sure one of your looks is a head rotation. That looks pretty good to me. Make sure the shoulders are square. And now I can hit that shot, hopefully, straight at that flag. And that's probably about 10, 15 feet left of the flag. But it's on the green. I'll be happy with that. I've got myself a birdie putt. And the reason that ball is close is because the swing was good, but my aim was good as well. If my aim wasn't as good, no matter how good the swing would be, the result wouldn't be like that one. So make sure you're aiming correctly out on the golf course. It's a skill that you need to practice. Don't assume that it should be just a given that we can all aim. It's difficult. Many golfers struggle, but using those tips and advice, you can make sure you're aiming better next time you play, and you're going to hopefully hit better golf shots, lower your scores, more birdies, all that kind of stuff which we want to do out on the course. Right, thank you very much for watching. Usual stuff is down below. Comments box down there. There's a like button, and also over here, my little logo. Click that. That will allow you to be a free subscriber, and you won't miss any of the future videos. Thanks for